Hey everybody, welcome back to another unboxing and review. Appreciate you tuning into the channel. I will be subbing in for Sid today as he is working on some other projects, and I told him that I would go ahead and I'd keep these reviews going. Today we have a pretty good one for you. We have Kingdom War for Cybertron Optimus Primal. I'll start by saying that I was never the biggest fan of the Beast Wars line. I was always more of a fan of the vehicles than I was the Transformers turning into Earth animals. I will say, however, that after having a few opportunities to mess around with this Optimus Primal, I'm really quite impressed by him. So what I'll do today is we'll take you through, look at the box, look at what comes with it, of course take a good look at the figure, go through the articulation and comparisons. I will be showing both modes in this review. I'll be showing, of course, the robot mode, and then I'll also be transforming him into his gorilla mode. Do not take this as the transformation video because I've only transformed him a few times so far, and I may do a little bit of stumbling and bumbling as I get him there. So we will put a formal transformation video out step by step soon enough, but I did want to show both modes because frankly they are pretty impressive. I'm very impressed by what Hasbro has done here. So let's go ahead and we'll get started first with the box. Let's move him out of the way so we can get a little bit better view for everybody. I will try to just keep the box on the table so I'm not holding it, and that way everybody can get a good look at it. I will say the artwork on this is quite impressive. This is really neat. I know that Hasbro has decided to go the route of having a smaller opening here in the front to showcase the figure. Some of that is due to cost savings, some of it is environmental considerations, which I appreciate. What they've done with the box here, though, is really great. So this artwork really showcases it well. As you can see, is a Voyager class. I'll turn it around to the back here so you can see the product shots. There's no bio, there's no little short story or anything on there. What you see is what you get. You got a couple shots of Optimus Primal in both of his modes. And then this art here on the side, which is really, really nice. Top, you have, there we go. And the bottom. All right, go ahead and move the box back here so it's out of our way. In the box, of course, this is what Optimus Primal comes packaged in. You've got an Autobot symbol there. You do have a lot of this. And of course on the back, it's just cardboard. Now in this fold right here, just like the other Kingdom War for Cybertron figures, you do get a card, and they seem to be random. This is the first one that I believe that we have of Black Arachnia. So that's a good looking card. Here's the back. As noted, these are stickers. This peels away. Will not be peeling that away. But just note, if you do get your hands on one, that is a sticker. Also, the instructions. Again, as I commented in the Jazz video, Hasbro has come a long way. They've provided very nice instructions step by step on how to transform Optimus Primal into both of his modes. It does discuss weapon storage in here as well. The only other thing that comes in the box, or what he's holding, he has both of his accessories, which are his swords. Now, as far as taking a look at the figure himself, let's see if I can get a close-up for you here. So you do have a good face sculpt. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the Beast Wars figures. I do not have an original Optimus Primal to compare this against, so I don't know how accurate this is to the original Beast Wars. I can't speak to that. I can only say that based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like the face sculpt is pretty good. So there you have the chest, midsection, bottom, turn him to the side, and the back. Again, this is where I think the figure shines. There's no doubt that you can tell that he's a gorilla. However, it compacts pretty nicely here on the back, and you don't have a whole lot of animal kibble hanging off. So I'm pretty impressed with that, especially again for the fact that, you know, typically paying, I believe, 26, give or take, 26 US dollars for this. It's an enjoyable figure. Now, he does have a couple of features in this mode, which I think are pretty neat, actually. You have right here in the forearms, if you press this, on the outside here, you have his forearm guns that come out. So we'll push that in. And you notice that those forearm guns have come out. Pull those out a little bit. And get you a good view of those. So that's a nice feature. Of course, that's on both sides as well, so push it in. Forearm guns. Boy, I tell you what, if only we had those, right? That would be great. Something else that I thought was innovative on this and adds to the playability and the imaginary play is the pistons here and the ankles. If I can get a focus here. There we go. So this isn't something that they would have had to have done. I mean, they could have just put an ankle rock here. But not only do you get the tilt, if I can maintain my focus, you also get, and this is part of transformation as well, but you do get the ability when you flip that toe up, you notice that that entire piston will move. And I just think that's great. That's just really cool that they added that in. Okay, so quickly we'll go over the articulation here. This is a pretty well articulated figure. You do have your typical head motion, right? So you get a little bit of down, a little bit of up, limited due to transformation. Right here is where you have the interference, bringing the head back forward, and then bringing it back. So that's about all you're going to get. You do get some side to side, and you can get some tilt out of it. Very little, maybe a degree or two of tilt, but it is there. Arms, you do get the full 360 at the shoulder. You get a good range of motion. These shoulder pads come out just over 90 degrees. Allows you to bring these up. You can go flush, so you can get about that high with them. Bring that back down. Elbow, you get over 90 degrees of bend. Bicep rotation. Actually, you get the entirety of the rotation occurs up in the shoulder. And you do have nicely articulated hands. So let's begin with, first of all, open the fingers up to remove the weapon. So you do get hands that open and close, and you get wrist rotation. Having some focus trouble today. I apologize for that, everybody. So, nicely articulated arms. Move that out of the way. You do get waist rotation. Great for posability. I can't say enough about my love of waist and ankle rotation. For the legs, move this arm out of the way as well. He can do almost complete splits. So a very good Jean-Claude Van Damme. Legs can go forward this far, backward this far. If you get that out of the way a little bit, so if you notice, he's not coming directly back with it. He has to get around that a little bit, but you can get a good sideways split as well. You do get thigh rotation. Sorry, the joints are tight on this, which I'm not going to complain about that. I don't like it when they're overly loose. So you do get some thigh rotation right there. Now, you have a double jointed knee due to transformation, so you can get a good range of motion. Now, this is not the primary joint where you would want to bend. If you actually hold right here and push down, you can get your bend right there. You do get a little bit of rotation right here in the calf. Now this is due to the alt mode, the gorilla mode if you will, that would allow him to spread his feet apart to give him a more natural looking stance when he's in his alt mode. And then of course you do have the ankle rock and a little bit of ankle tilt there, enough to give him some good poses. So posability is pretty decent on this guy. I would give that the head's not that big of a deal for me. It's not a deal breaker, but it would be nice. I would give the posability on this probably an 8 out of a 10, especially for a figure at its price point. So before we get him to his alt mode, let's go ahead and let's get the comparisons out of the way. I'm going to take his swords out. Let's put those off to the side. Oh, before I do that, we do need to talk about weapon storage. So let's get his arms back down, and I'm going to just get him straightened out to a standing tall point. Another thing I forgot, you do get a butterfly joint here for these shoulders, so you can get a pretty decent reach around if you look at it from that standpoint. So he can bring that arm all the way around instead of being limited to just there. He can get pretty good reach. So another nice point of articulation. Now, back to the weapon storage. On his back, you see these tabs. Those tabs are meant for his swords. Bear with me while I try to get in there with these. I'll have that one on backwards. Oops, if I put it the right orientation. So there you go. Pretty decent weapon storage, especially for his bot mode. He could be walking around and, you know, whip his arm around all ninja style and grab his swords and be ready for action. So pretty good. All right, now comparisons. So I'm going to move this guy over here. I'm going to start with the no comparison at all portion of my comparisons. The reason that I do that is I just enjoy showcasing some of the other figures. A few of the ones that I'm going to show here, the only thing that they have in common is they are in some form or another an Optimus Prime. So we will start with the Unique Toys Challenger, which is Unique Toys is a third-party company. This is their take on the Last Knight Optimus Prime, and he's a big boy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get him all the way in here in the shot, so I may have to back this up a little bit. So this is Challenger, and there's Optimus Primal. Go ahead and move him out of the way. We'll bring in MP10, Optimus Prime. And again, I recognize this is not a fair comparison. These are not apples to apples. This is just something that I enjoy doing. I know some of my favorite parts of reviews are seeing the comparisons and just kind of seeing what people have in their collection. It's just kind of a blast to see all that. So that is MP10 with Mr. Primal. Next up, I'm going to bring in a couple of old school fellas. First one is going to be G1 Optimus, and I think I can bring these guys up a little bit more so we can get a closer comparison. So this is G1 Optimus Prime. Apologies for the missing hand, but he is 36 years old, and at some point in my life I've lost his right hand. So this is my original. I've had him since I was a kid. Looks like he's got just a bit of an edge of height on Optimus Primal. Move him on out of the way. Now the next one I'm going to bring in is the only other gorilla transformer that I have. I do not remember his name. Forgive me, please. I want to say it's Ape Face, but I don't know if that's right. He is a cassette from G1. He may have come out in the second or third wave. I know he didn't come out in the same wave when Laserbeak and Frenzy and Rumble and all those, Ravage and all those guys had come out. So forgive me if I'm wrong about the name. Just wanted to bring him out because he's a gorilla. I'll bring him back out again when we transform him into alt mode. All right, so now we'll do a few other Optimuses from the same line, if you will, from the War for Cybertron line. So the first one, it's a little eccentric, but I mean, technically it is a Prime body. So here we are with Ultra Magnus in his stripped down mode, no armor. And because it is Albino Prime, if you will, I wanted to bring him in, give him a little screen time. Next up, we have Siege Optimus Prime. Next up, we will have Earthrise Optimus Prime, which, my gosh, so much has been said about the engineering on this guy. I really need to do my own review on him. It's pretty amazing how far we've come. Just taking my own little side note here. Holy cow. I mean, gosh. Wow. It makes me speechless just to see how far we've come. All right, I'll get off my soapbox now. Move that. All right, now we're getting into the Kingdom line. So we will start with a Kingdom colleague here. Here he is with Warpath. And he's got a good size difference on Warpath. Warpath is a little guy, but to be fair, a lot of his height is eaten up by his treads. Although the engineering, the transformation here for the treads is just great. It does take away a lot of his height. Then we'll bring in, gosh, maybe my favorite of the War for Cybertron line. This guy is absolutely amazing. Cyclonus, Kingdom War for Cybertron Cyclonus, which really should be part of the Studio 86 line. I digress. This figure is amazing. I would, not to steal any of his thunder right now, but oh my gosh, if you see this guy, get this guy. And last, you have, my last comparison here, you have Beast Wars Megatron. Now these two guys, they look pretty good together. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Beast Wars, but gotta hand it to them. This is a really cool looking combo here. Somebody's gonna have to tell me if this scales up correctly. I don't know enough about Beast Wars to know if Megatron really did have that much of a size advantage on Optimus Primal, but looks pretty good. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to try to quickly transform this guy. Like I said, this isn't going to be a transformation video. I just want to show off that alt mode. So bear with me here. I will try to do this in front of the camera. First thing we'll do is we'll take those swords off. All right, straighten the arms out, push these guys in. And this is where it gets kind of dicey. I will say, when you want to pop this back part out, it feels kind of scary when you do that. But you pop the back out, and then push these guns in. Flip this around. Grab the head. Flip it around. Push this back in. And then you have, pull this head out just a little bit. While you have that out, flip the chest around. Squeeze this back in. There you have the head. Okay. Push these down. Grab this, pull this out of the way, move that out of the way, spin it, push that back down. Now, this is where it gets a little fun, especially with joints that are so tight. Now, first thing we can do is push these up. Okay, get those out of the way. That forms the back. And get these in there nice and tight. Lift that up. Oh, you know what? I apologize. I did that incorrectly. Need to actually push these down this way so you have the legs like that. So bring those down. Sorry guys, these joints on this are so tight. Sorry I can't do this in front of the camera. There we go. All right, got that in there. All right, now this part that was on his back, bring that out. It's on a double hinge right there. Bring that out, spin it, push that in down, bring this back down, and then you just come back here and kind of play with the angle until you get a majority of this hidden up underneath his hide, if you will, for lack of a better term. All right. So you should end up with something looks a little bit like that. Bring his arms down. And then you can adjust these as you see fit to put him in the typical gorilla stance, right? So bring these down, turn this, lift his head up. And so there you have Optimus Primal in his gorilla mode, which actually looks pretty darn cool. So again, from the side. Now, obviously, you could pose him and get everything. Oh, I did forget, for the feet, this is where that calf rotation comes in. So you grab that and pull those out, just whatever few degrees that you have, and now you have the toes spread out a little bit more to give him a more natural ape-like stance. Okay, now going back to my comparison with the only other gorilla that I have. There you go. One other thing that I do want to show off on this guy is if you don't like this stance for his ape mode or gorilla mode, you can change it. So you can come back here, pull these down, and then you will utilize the double joint on the leg to try to push this forward and out like that. So This was the other side. You notice what we've done here is we've changed that. So come back over here, same thing, push this forward, again with incredibly tight joints. Collapse that in, and now you got him looking a bit like King Kong, which I think is pretty darn cool, actually. All right, so that's going to wrap up the review. I would say again, is this thing a masterpiece? Did Hasbro and Takara knock it out of the park? I don't think so. I think it's a cool figure. It's definitely worth picking up if you're into Beast Wars. I'm glad I found it. I was reluctant at first to pick it up, but I wanted to get a review out there for you guys. So, yeah, I would say if Beast Wars is your thing, you're really going to enjoy this guy. And even if you don't like Beast Wars, there's a lot of good play available here. I mean, my gosh, what a great job as a gorilla. I was really surprised by that. He looks good as a robot as well. So I think there's definitely a place in your collection for him if you can find him. And yeah, overall, I would say I would give him a thumbs up and a recommend. Speaking of thumbs up, if you guys would, I know Sid and I would really appreciate it if you give this a like, give it a thumbs up, maybe give us a subscribe on the page. We are going to be making every effort to pump out a lot more content, really try to help people make some educated purchases and be an advocate for the consumer on some of these products coming out, not only in the main line, but also in third parties. There's a lot of really good third-party stuff out there, and I think it's kind of a minefield trying to find the right thing at the right price point. So we'll be trying to help you make those decisions a little bit easier as well. So until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.